The meeting of the European Astronomical Society starts in 2 days, and let's see how you prepare for an astronomical conference. Welcome back to Boring Astronomy. I'm Alessandro, your astronomer next door.
Boring astronomy.
In case you are wondering, I'm Alessandro. I have been in astronomy for the past 20 years, and I'm here to share with you some of the things that I've learned along the way. Tomorrow I will board my plane to fly to Ireland for the meeting of the European Astronomical Society. So I figured I would share with you how someone prepares for an astronomical conference. The very first thing, as trivial as it may sound, is to check the weather. This is the weather in Cork for the next few days, and Meteo Blue is my go-to website for weather forecast. Temperature will never be above 20 degrees, and this is important for what you're going to pack. The second most important thing to check is the website of the conference. At this time, you're already comfortable with the website of the conference. You have visited it several times. You saw it when the conference was announced, because you came here and you checked the announcement, the type of conferences and symposia which were going to be held. You came here to register, so you're already comfortable with many things. But now there is something more important even, which is the program. And the nice thing that the organization does, at least for this conference, is they have an interactive program. Since the program is so complicated, it is very useful to have this kind of interface. So you can see that this is just the first day, and you have at 9 in the morning you already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 events happening in parallel. Then you're going to have a series of plenary sessions and then other events. Every day has a series of parallel sessions and some plenary sessions. This is also for Wednesday. You see the plenary sessions here. Thursday, again, plenary here and different events. And finally, Friday. So how do you plan for this kind of event? You cannot possibly attend 12 conferences in parallel. So let's begin with the basics. For example, I can look for myself and I can see that I am co-authoring one presentation, and I have one presentation, one poster, and one poster with a short presentation. This means that obviously I will have to be in the room on Wednesday at 6. I will probably have to be in the room on Wednesday at 10:20. This already tells me when I'm going to be in these events. And then I can start looking for friends. You can also search for specific words. There are some machine learning. This is interesting. There are some interesting presentations related with machine learning. Little by little, you start noting down which sessions have something which is of interest for you. I already know that I have 2 sessions which are in conflict. Once the program is so packed, typically it's difficult to find breathing space. So it's difficult to find a moment which is completely empty. But in some cases you may find some sessions which are less exciting. So in that case you can either divert on something which is mildly interesting, or you may divert on something which is not necessarily your main science, but something that you are curious about. So you can learn something new and get something exciting and interesting. Now, it is important to remember that if you go to a conference, and like it is my case this time, you have 2 posters and a talk, try to have as much ready before you leave. Ideally, the posters should be ready In this case, the posters are electronic, so you don't really need to print them, but it is nice to have them ready and uploaded before you take your plane. And it is very, very typical to see people rushing on their computer to finish their presentation like 10 minutes before they set on stage. You cannot really do this at such a big conference because they normally ask you to upload your presentation the day before. So ideally this is not going to happen, but still I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people preparing their presentation last minute. In the good old days of transparencies, you would have to have at least another copy of those transparencies. In the good old days of USB sticks, you would have to have your presentation both on your laptop and on a USB stick. Nowadays I think it's enough to have them somewhere on the cloud, and then from the cloud you can just send the link to the organizers, and I always find it particularly easy. If you're giving a presentation, important to rehearse, to be able to stay within the allocated time. Remember to check your allocated time. And in case you have a short presentation related to a poster, like is my case in one of my contributions, make sure that you are able to summarize your whole poster in 3 minutes, which normally is, this is what I'm talking about, this is where you can find it, this is me, come check me out. Easy. Now remember that going to a conference mostly means doing networking, and this means that you're supposed to introduce yourself over and over to people. How do you introduce yourself? And you're going to stay there. Normally you have your badge over your belly, so presenting yourself saying this is my name, that doesn't particularly help. You're supposed to find a way that is engaging, and ideally a way for the person to remember you. So try to find a way to say, this is my name, I'm very interested in what you do, and this is why this conversation may be interesting. I normally find it very efficient to highlight why you are having the conversation with the person. So if I go to meet someone, I go like, hello, I like a lot the work you're doing, and this is the work I do, and this is how your work and my work are related. Like this you establish a connection, and the conversation is smoother. You can even think about an introduction line, almost like a pick-up line, but professional. Make sure that you are specific but not too much. Assume that the person doesn't know anything about you and whatever is your immediate surrounding. Going to a conference in a place which is not the place where you live, it means that you are traveling, and you're supposed to travel with care. So what are the first things that you have to pack once you go to a conference? The first thing is your laptop, then the battery charger of your laptop, in my case glasses, and then everything else. As we commented before, you will have to pack clothes according to the weather that you're going to find. Normally I go to conferences with my nerdy t-shirts, but in this case, for me, 20 degrees starts to be on the cold side, so I'm not going to wear many t-shirts. There is this stereotype of the elegant Italian. I'm always very careful with the kind of trousers and shirts that I carry, and I also try to be mindful of the shoes that I carry. Then try to remember that you're supposed to combine a little bit of elegance with being practical. So let's not exaggerate on either side. It is important to remember that a conference is not a place where science is done. A conference is a moment for networking and sharing of knowledge. If you arrive at a conference and you start doing the research job at the conference, you're probably doing it at the wrong time. This doesn't mean that you may not get a very good idea after listening to a talk, and then you go to a reserved work area and you act on what you just heard. But this is something that should take like 10 minutes, half an hour. This is not a full research project. So there's a few important advices that I feel like sharing with you. The first one is you will miss some session. I think I'm talking more to myself than to you when I say this, especially for this conference. There's always so many things happening all at the same time. You will miss on something. That is the good thing of arriving there together with some friends, and you go like, listen, there's these 2 sessions which happen exactly at the same time. I want to be in both, but I obviously cannot. So help me out. You go to that session, I go to this other session, and then we share notes. It has happened to me in other conferences with friends. We're just on WhatsApp sending messages to each other. Oh, this person is saying this other person is saying this. And at the end, you manage to make the most out of everything. I know this sounds bizarre. If you're young and you're in a new town, you want to go out, you want to enjoy yourself and you want to enjoy the town, but it is a good idea to try to go to sleep early, try to have a little bit of time for yourself, a little bit of time to go back to your room, stay by yourself, stay alone, sit alone, let what you heard sink a little bit. Give your brain a little bit of time to rest, because otherwise you are going to stay 5 days running at full throttle the whole time, and at the end this is going to be super exhausting. So make sure you have time to rest and digest what you heard during the day. My wife says that I am obsessed with food, and she's probably right. But it is also true that during conferences, the moment of conviviality provided by lunch, coffee breaks, and dinner, they provide a level of randomness and a level of casual random conversation that is hard to beat. So make sure you feel open to randomness, especially during coffee breaks. The coffee breaks of the first day are the worst, because those are the coffee breaks where you start meeting people that you haven't seen for a couple of years, and those are super chaotic. Then you can start to be a little bit more strategic, and you can use the coffee break to have meaningful conversations, and then you can start chatting with people, and one person can introduce you to someone else, and that is where the real richness of these meetings happen. Finally, what you really have to do? For us participating at this conference, yesterday we received the link to connect to Slack. So connect to Slack. For this conference there is also a mobile app. That is a very useful piece of technology to have on your mobile, so you can navigate through the immense amount of information that this kind of conference provides. And last but not least, make sure you find out who is at the conference. I have spent the last 3 months sending messages to people saying, are you coming? Are you coming? Are you coming? At some point I felt like I was almost a stalker. But it is important to get ready, and what I will do tomorrow on the plane, I will write down the people I know are going to be there, what the topics I want to talk about with them, so that during the week I can have the topics ticked out, and then I can make sure that I'm taking advantage of the conference. Alright, so we're getting ready, and I'll talk to you soon, and I will also try to make a vlog during the conference. And I'll talk to you soon. Ciao.